Gotta love that jam.
I'm telling you.
Yep.
It's catchy.
Gets you going.
Almost sounds like a souped up mash theme. Sticks in your brain. It's either that or Baby Shark. Hey everybody, welcome to the AMC show. It's me, Mike, your scale model outlaw, one of your hosts, and my good friend Jason from KRD, and of course our awesome producer, the guy behind the music, the guy behind the scenes, the guy that makes it happen, Mr. Bruce from Bruce's Eclectic World. How's everybody doing tonight?
Doing good.
Good. I know, Jason, you're getting ready to load up and head out of town. We'll touch on that a little bit later, but guys, we have a awesome show ready for everybody tonight. We got two guys backstage that we've been talking to for a while, and we are looking forward to getting these guys up front. We've got Chris Bell from Scale Speed Garage and Josh from VCG Resins. We're going to go ahead and you guys ready to bring them on up? Let's get into it, right?
Absolutely. Let's roll them beautiful clips we got.
Yeah, let's roll that beautiful bean footage. Now we are going to run two videos, one for Josh and then one for Chris. And when the videos are over, we're going to have their smiling faces front and center.
Yep. So
roll that beautiful bean footage
first. Okay, that's pretty cool. And now we'll run Chris's.
Hey, welcome to the show, y'all.
Hello.
All right, we got Josh from VCG Resins. Hey, Josh.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Another
Good,
day
good.
guys. And of course, Chris Bell from Scale Speed Garage. Welcome to the show.
Howdy, thank you for having us.
Absolutely, man. We've been looking forward to this, guys. It's Chris. We've had some 3D guys on there. We've and we're excited about everybody that comes on. But I think Chris is going to bring some new stuff to us today and talk about some things that are different than what we've talked about here on the show. So we're excited about that. Jason, you got any starting questions? Bruce, you got any starting questions for the guys, or just want to jump right into how they got started? What do you guys want to do?
Yeah, let's just find out what age did you guys get into this great hobby of modeling?
All right, I'll go first. Hey, Slago. Good to see you there, Slago. And Tiffany, Joe, good to see everyone there. So I started building models, I'd say I was probably 12 or 13.
Okay.
My dad had always been into model railroading. He built HO scale model railroads, and he had picked up the Monogram Ford Street T Roadster, the black and gold one. And
Nice.
I vividly remember the box, and I vividly remember him building it at the dining room table, and that immediately got me interested. And from there, I started building model cars, and much like many of us, off and on throughout the years, as I grew up, found other things that were more entertaining at the time, but I have always found my way back to model cars.
Yeah.
I hit this hobby again real heavy back in 2020 is when I got back into the hobby, and I've been as deep as I can get and loving every second of it.
Jumped in with both feet.
Yeah.
Right?
First.
I may or may not be able to relate to that story when it comes to jumping in both feet. But you won't hear my story. We've already talked about that. Chris, what about you, buddy?
Yeah, I started building models. Gosh, I was probably 7 or so, and we went over to my aunt and uncle's house, and my uncle was a model builder, and he had this display case against a wall with a bunch of built model cars, and I was so enthralled by them. And I walked over, and he was showing me all of them, and he said, why don't you take a model home with you? Just, any of my built models in here, I'd love for you to have one. So I grabbed this just plain Jane white 1940 Ford sedan. And I just thought it was the coolest thing. And I thought, you know what? I want to do this. And so as a little kid, like a grade schooler, I really loved the color pink. That was my color. And so we went to the local hobby store, and I saw on the shelf the Revell Street Machine Volkswagen Beetle that is, just pink as can be on the box. And I said, that's the one. And I took it home, and I built cars. I built a lot of airplanes and ships and tanks as a kid, not so much the cars.
Okay.
Nice.
As did Josh, as did many of us. I got away from it as I kind of hit my teenage years, jumped into some things that were really entertaining and not so healthy. And back about 6 years ago, decided to make some changes in my life, get healthy, and kind of kick some of the junk that I was playing around with. And, I told my wife at the time, I said, man, I really feel like I could use a hobby to kind of keep me occupied now that I'm not going to be going out to the bar and whatnot. And she just happened to remember that I mentioned building model cars one time. And so for my birthday that year, she bought me the Revell first generation Bronco, and we were off to the races. I also jumped in with both feet. About a year after I started building, I was working in restaurant management. And if you're a student of history, you know what happened in early 2020. I all of a sudden found myself on unemployment instead of running a restaurant. And I said, you know what? I'm going to try and make a business in this hobby. And that one thing led to another. And here we are.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I think we all go through that T&T part, right? Tires, and I'll just leave the other T up to you guys. But yeah, that's like our story. I think most of our stories are very similar. The same thing with me. Got out in the 90s and just got back in it and I bring it up because Josh said he jumped back in it with both feet, and as did you, Chris. I went in 2022. I had 16 model kits and some old Tester square bottle paint that I'd been carrying around since the 90s, and here it is. Beginning almost 2025 now, and I've got a few more kits and some more paint. When you go in all people. But I can relate to you, Chris. Same way with me. I quit spending my money at the bars and doing things I shouldn't have been doing, and focus on it here. So that's great. It's great how that hobby can do that, man. It gives you something else to think about. And that's how I discovered, honestly, I discovered Chris. I discovered you through Josh and then Chuck. But that's how I discovered Josh, and when I found out about this whole resin world. So let's go. If you got Jason, unless you guys got something, Bruce, unless you got something, I say we jump right into the very beginning of where resin printing starts, and we let Chris talk about his thing.
Absolutely.
Works for me.
Awesome. Well, yeah, so I was really coming into the hobby again for the second time in a really exciting time for our hobby. Then at the beginning of COVID, we had all of these people all of a sudden with a bunch of time on their hands, looking to get back maybe into something that they did as a kid or get into a new hobby. And at the same time, we had all of this 3D printer equipment really kind of coming into the hobbyist market at the same time. 3D printing has been around really since the mid 1980s, but even 10 or 12 years ago, the kind of 3D printers that would do what we have now would have cost $30,000, $50,000, $100,000.
Yep.
And so those two things really just kind of came together into this perfect storm to help reignite this hobby for a lot of people. So when I came back into it, I came from my restaurant background. I came from a background in 3D drafting and design. So I already knew how to create the 3D files. And I initially said, okay, I'm going to start a business selling 3D prints. I went and bought a 3D printer and started figuring all that out. And it was after a little while of running that business that I saw more and more people in the Facebook groups and online saying, man, I really want to start getting into this 3D printing myself, but I have no idea how it works. I don't know where to get the files. I don't know what I need. And that's where the idea for Scale Speed Garage was born, was to be this place that no matter where you are in your hobby journey, or no matter what skill level or experience level you have with things like 3D design or 3D printing, we'll meet you where you're at, and help you grow your skills and evolve your hobby into something that brings you even more joy, something that really allows you to stretch that freedom and creativity to really build whatever you're dreaming of.
That's awesome.
So
That is very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've told you this story, and I'm sure you've talked to many others, but I was dabbling in or considering getting involved in the hobby, and hit you up on it was either email or messenger on your Scale Speed Garage, and you spent a lengthy amount of time, I'll say every bit of 45 minutes to an hour, chatting with me about the ups and downs and the ins and outs, and hey, this is what you look for, we got what you need, but you better make sure it's for you. And to quote you, you were the first one that told me this hobby can be a hobby all in itself, right?
Yeah.
And I thought that was really cool, but really thought it was cool that you took time to talk to somebody that didn't know nothing, and you took the time out of your day, an hour's worth of your time, to chat with us. And I always thought that was very cool, and it just goes to show that you're trying to be a positive influence in the hobby, and I'm sure everybody can relate to that. But a little bit, not going into detail, a little bit, you basically offer different packages, and I'm going to let you take it from there so I don't stick my foot in my mouth.
yeah, absolutely. So I launched Scale Speed Garage in November of 2021. Started off with 20 people that got in on kind of a pre-sale for what we called our lifetime founding membership. Back then, it was very, very bare bones, very basic. We had a handful of how-to videos on how to, everything from unboxing your printer to doing your first print and stuff like that. Our very first file pack that we released had 6 files in it. And we are now at the point where every file pack we put out has a minimum of 50 files in it. Some of those are many more than that. But yeah, so that's basically what we do. We are an online community that gives you not only how-to videos and tutorials on all parts of the 3D printing process. We give you monthly file downloads. These are files that we develop in-house. We have started a partnership with our friend Ryan Voyer at Scale Auto Model Works, another fantastic designer in our space. So we do collaborate on files now as well. But yeah, so the file packs, the how-tos, we do troubleshooting help because it's 3D printing. Things are going to go wrong sometimes, and members can always send me a message and say, I don't know what's going on, help. And over time, we've kind of grown it. We have a very active members community. So we have a sort of a little mini Facebook for members inside the community where members can interact and show what they're working on, ask questions, give suggestions. We have a weekly call, and I'm seeing some people here in the chat that I want to give shout outs to, Steve Del Sesto and Jamie Squires, 2 of my regulars on Thursday nights, always come into those hangout calls. And those are a good chance not only to get help with 3D printing stuff, but a lot of times we just kind of chat about cars, models, 3D printing, whatever. More recently, we've added some things like discounts from partner vendors. So Josh Reese from VCG Resins, my very good friend, is one of our partner vendors. So members can get discounts from him. Scale Finishes, members looking for paint, they get a discount from Scale Finishes because they're a Scale Speed Garage member. And kind of the newest thing is just how when we started Scale Speed Garage, we saw people saying, man, I really want to learn how to 3D print. Now we're seeing those same people, they've gotten very comfortable with the 3D printing element. And now they're saying, okay, the next level for me is learning how to design my own stuff. And so we created Scale Speed Garage Elite, which is our top tier membership, which we now do 2 monthly live 3D design trainings. So you jump on a Zoom call with me and we're looking at my screen and you have your screen with Autodesk Fusion up, and we're working through designs that I'm talking about not only how the software works and how we use it to create designs, but also bigger pictures of like how to think in 3 dimensions and a lot of the specific sort of unique characteristics about designing in 3D for 3D printing at small scale. And so that's been a really cool thing to see that evolve and kind of help take people to the next level again. So like I said, whether you're somebody who's already comfortable with the 3D printing and you want to learn the design, or if you're somebody who can just turn on a computer and that's it, wherever you are, we can take you from where you are and help you build this new element to your hobby.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. First, let's give a shout out to your viewers that are here. Thank you guys for coming over, checking us out.
Thank you, guys.
Did you guys see that?
I also see Frank from Frank's Model Works. He's another Scale Speed Garage member.
Chuckster's in there too.
I was going to say the Chucky Monster's in there.
All right. What's up,
Frank's my public relations guy. He's a freaking amazing public relations guy. If you got a problem, go check out Frankie. He'll take care of it.
And just to give another shout out to Frank real quick, if I can. Frank has been awesome on his channel lately about bringing some of this 3D printing knowledge to the masses as well. And so, Frank, I have checked out the videos. Sorry, I haven't left any comments yet, but great work out there too. And thanks for the shout outs that you're giving us in those videos as well.
Yeah, I'm going to throw a shout out to Frank real quick too. Frank has been a great supporter of VCG Resins as well as Scale Speed Garage. He's one of our crossover customers that frequents both of us, and just a great guy in the community. So I want to send a shout out to Frank there as well. And real quick, Slaugo, yes, Chris has made me dinner before, and he is quite a good cook.
Nice. Everybody's going to Chris's for Christmas.
Right? I don't know though. He's out there in them Rocky Mountains. It gets a little cool out there for my Florida blood. We were talking before we went on the air. They were like, "Oh yeah, it was like 16 degrees this morning. I think Jason was at 11 degrees." I'm like, "Dude,
I was minus.
I thought it was cold at 40."
I was minus, so it's warm.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. That's very cool, Chris. Like I said, we had that conversation via Messenger. And it wasn't for me, especially, I don't even own a computer, right? So I'd probably need to start with a computer before I buy a printer. But I think it's awesome that you got that out there and the different levels and the how-tos and stuff and that. It all just befuddles me. I think it's a little bit above my head. I'm just a redneck kid from Florida.
I'm telling you, we could get you fixed up. But no, I mean, at the end of the day, and we talked about this, but at the end of the day, I want people to be happy in their hobby. And the last thing I want is somebody coming and spending money with me on something that's just giving them more stress or taking them away from the hobby. Right.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Let's go to Josh.
Go ahead, Jason. I'm sorry.
Let's get Josh's intertwine here with Chris's files and how they work together.
I was going to say, after Chris makes the files, then they end up over at Mr. Josh's place, and then those of us that are supporters or some of us have some VCG stuff here. We got
to keep pulling it out.
May or may not have a few couple things laying around over here. But
heck, even I'm too lazy to print, and I just call Josh and say, "Buddy, I need to mention."
File heading your way.
Thanks for that too, Frank. The partnership between me and Tiffany Dirt Road Cinderella is just spectacular. She has been amazing to work with. Her channel is fantastic. I'm really glad you like the partnership between us. So Chris and I first met at a local model car show. And at that time, I had already taken over VCG Resins and was doing some resin casting. Had already started dipping my toes into 3D printing. And when I met Chris, he was already launching Scale Speed Garage. He was right at the infancy of it with those 20 founding member spots that he mentioned. And I immediately jumped in on those spots. One, I saw what he was doing and I firmly believed in what he was doing. And I jumped right into Scale Speed Garage. And much like others have said, he took my 3D printing to the next level. He refined what I had already been learning, and he really took it to the next level. As our friendship and everything progressed, Chris had a lot going on in his world. He had a new kid on the way. He had a young one. He had a wife in school. Lots of stuff going on. Running Scale Speed Garage. At that time, I took over all of the printing of Scale Speed Garage files, and we are now the exclusive commercial printer for Scale Speed Garage,
Nice.
as well as Scale Auto Model Works. Ryan Voyer, which Chris mentioned earlier, another fantastic designer. Both of them have just been an absolute pleasure to work with. They are some of the top tier designers in our hobby. I have very open relationships with both of them, not just business wise, but as good friends. Chris and I are very, very good friends. We spend a lot of time outside of work together. Same with Ryan and I. Me and Ryan have become very good friends. And that has kind of allowed the three of us to really collaborate to tailor and bring some really unique offerings to the community.
Yes.
We're bringing some I feel some of the highest quality designs out there. And my job as the printer is not just to provide you guys in the community with really great parts that are unique offerings, stuff you can't find anywhere else. But part of my job is to represent the designers that I work with in a very positive light. I want the physical product that people receive of the designs from Chris and Ryan to just showcase their work. If my prints can bring out all of the detail that they are instilling in these, then that's just showing the community even more how great these designers are as well. And that's where we get a lot of that kind of crossover stuff. You get these guys that they start out buying printed parts, and then they see the work and they see some of the stuff that's available. And of course, we push Scale Speed Garage and Scale Auto Model Works like no tomorrow.
Yep.
We're always more than happy to see any of our customer base transfer over to Chris and start 3D printing, or transfer over to 3D printing in general and start buying Ryan's files, or any of the other great designers that are out there. You know, I think the two of us working together have really been able to bring some cool stuff to the community.
Josh, did you see that question?
Yeah, I was going to say, well, you see Mars's question there? He wants to know, do you guys design or print anything other than automotive stuff? That was one of the questions I had, and I have another one to follow that up with. But let's answer Mars's question. Do you guys do anything outside of automotive?
I do. Not necessarily for sale. Not through a retail means at all. But yeah, I print some non-automotive stuff for myself. I print stuff for my wife. I got a little KitchenAid mixer sitting here that I printed for my wife that I'm going to paint up for her. And so yeah, I print quite a bit of stuff that is non-automotive related, but more for personal.
Okay. And
Let me ask you this, Josh. Do you have any like customers that say, "Hey, I want a certain size"? Do you specially scale stuff for people, especially with kits variation between 24th and 25th?
Not very frequently. I will say there have been a few instances where I have. For the most part, the reason that I don't work in larger scales as far as printing, I don't build in larger scales. So to me, making sure that the parts that I'm printing are going to fit in the scale that they're advertised as is extremely important. So if I don't have a 8th scale model kit in my collection, I have all the faith in the world that Chris and Ryan have designed the parts accurately in scale to where if I scaled them up, they would be an accurate 1/8 scale. But I can't confirm that. I don't have something sitting around to test fit it in. So for that reason, I kind of stray away from the larger scales.
Okay. That's a quality control thing, right? You want to know that this is what it's made for. This is fits. I know this because I did it. All right.
Correct.
Second part of my question, what inspires, I mean, obviously, Josh, you're printing, and not solely, but printing from Chris. What inspires what inspires Chris? What inspires you to make a file? Okay, this I'm reading online, I'm seeing, I just have a personal thing. Where do you get the inspiration to create a new file for something that is either out there or you could do better?
It comes from a lot of different sources. Sometimes I'll be, reading an article online and see something that's cool and unique and say, yes, that needs to be available in our hobby. Sometimes it is what members are requesting. We do have a file request channel in Scale Speed Garage, so all members can say, hey, I would love to see this. And then when it works and fits into a file pack theme of ours, we make it happen. Sometimes it's seeing other already built models and saying, wow, that's really cool. Let's do something like that. Because there's certain things, right? There are 18 different really good small block Chevy files, for example, out there. But the passion for me really comes in saying, how do we take this to the next level? And how do we add just a little bit more detail to it? One of the things that I'm big on, and if I do a tour of some upcoming or recently released files here at some point in this show, I'll kind of show some of this. But I know that there are some model builders out there, they may be in the minority, but that's okay. There are some model builders out there who want to build, say, a diorama of a drag car in the paddocks getting the engine torn down. I want people to have files that they can build with the valve cover off or the cylinder head off and have it look realistic. And so for me, really, it's more about seeing something and saying, wow, the detail in that is something that I could really take and run with.
Absolutely.
That's cool. Yeah. And part of that question, for me was we talk about all the time that you hear, especially guys like Lucas E. and on the big podcast, they talk about, round two and these different guys, they're listening, right? So you're proof. There's proof in the pudding that these manufacturers are paying attention to what we're saying, what we're putting out there, the comments that are being read. You never know. They might be just in the back watching or looking at this or that. Mm-hmm. So like I said, you're proof in the pudding for that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Social media too. We're reading comments and definitely taking notes there too. So
absolutely. That's
same
awesome.
On my side as well. I watch a lot of the social media as well as suggestions from supporters that come in as to what they would like to see available on the market. But I kind of do the same thing. I watch social media and I see where some of the demands are and where some of the gaps are. And I try to fill those gaps the best that I can with the help from Chris of him creating the files all the way to putting them out on the market for stuff that's just not out there that people really want to see.
And here's a real life example of this happening in real time. Big Sky Model Workshop, we have weld drag lights and drag stars in roughly the sizes you're after there, coming out in about a week in our next file pack.
Yep.
Yeah, I was going to use your race pack with decals as an example. I don't know of anybody that is producing these. And if you're building a race car, especially like a drag car, I've got a Pacer that I redid and put this is the one that I have, but I use the other ones, the smaller version of the same thing. But I looked and looked and looked for that, and I found it on VCG. So, and of course, it's top quality VCG stuff as always. But it was neat that was a niche that whatever inspired you to get that, I ended up buying a bunch of them.
Yeah. So, Josh, let me ask you this. How many machines are you currently running to keep up with your demand?
I can't keep up with the demand. We'll start there. I currently run 8 machines.
8 machines. Wow.
Yes. I have a couple of other machines kind of set off to the side, some just in case something happens to the machine and I need to swap one out like right now and need to get back into action. I currently own 11 machines. I run 8.
Okay. Are they all the same brand, or do you have a mixture?
I have a mixture of both Anycubic and Elegoo.
Okay.
Both of those are 2 of my favorite brands. They both have their little idiosyncrasies, we'll say.
Yeah.
I like both for different reasons.
Okay. And do you use the same resin for all of them, or do you favor the Anycubic resin in their printers and Elegoo in theirs? Or
so I use Soraya Tech Fast Navy Gray. That is my preferred resin. And Chris will 100% echo that resin recommendation. We found that resin, one, produces extremely high quality details. It holds the detail very well.
Yep.
What we as modelers do, it's not too soft, it's not too brittle. It drills fairly well. It's easy to sand. It's easy to paint. All around, it's just a superior resin to almost anything else we've tried.
Nice.
Yep.
And then for like the people that are at home that might be, running these printers, if they were to switch to that resin, have you noticed a huge difference in your settings in order to get the prints to come off? Say if they're running Elegoo's resin right now in an Elegoo printer, would they have to do a lot of changes to switch to that resin?
Probably not a whole lot. There will be some fine tuning to do. One of the things I always recommend to people, so there's kind of 2 main options for what we call slicing software, which is where you take your 3D file and you get it ready for printing and turn it into a format that the printer can read. There's kind of 2 main options, and people, it's kind of like a Ford versus Chevy thing, right? Like people do tend to have their strong preferences for one or the other. I will say though that Lychee has a really good library that's constantly updated of users out in the real world that are using various printers and various resins that are uploading their resin settings for any specific resin on any specific printer. So even if you're printing and you like Cheetah Box better, stick with Cheetah Box, but download Lychee, add your printer, add the resin you're wanting to use, and go in and see what's working for other people. And that's a really good baseline to at least start with some calibration tests so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can kind of start most of the way dialed in.
Nice.
Agreed.
Well, I've got a question for you, Josh. Anybody that's bought your product knows that your stuff does not come on the, I'm going to call it a sprue, but I know that's not what you guys call it, the uprights.
Yeah, the support.
We call it
support, right? You take yours off the support. Some people send their stuff. Everybody knows that I'm a huge supporter of Iceman. He's been really good to me. I love his products just like I love yours, but his come on the sprue. And we're going to ask him the same question. That's kind of why I'm asking it, because I like to get both sides. Yours obviously does not. What inspired you? What is your thought process around taking it off the sprue?
So I don't send them on the supports for several reasons. One, I know where I've put the supports. Sometimes on real small, fragile, delicate parts, there has to be a support in an area that is very, very delicate. The last thing I want is the customer receiving that part and breaking that highly delicate, highly detailed piece. I know where the support is. I know how I put the support on there. I know how to take the support off. My second reasoning behind it is I want the customer to receive a product that is near ready to go. They're already going to have to build the engine or build the kit. They already have to cut everything off of the model kit sprues and clean all of those up. I don't want that to become a chore for them. I want them to have fun with their build and their hobby. And if I can get them to the fun part a little bit faster by having parts that are already off of the supports and near ready to go. I mean, obviously some of them need a little bit of sanding, a little bit of cleanup, but for the most part, those parts are ready to go right out of the bag. And if you can get to the fun faster, perfect. That's what
I agree. As far as sanding and nip-nups here and there, I mean that's part of being a modeler. If you don't want to do that, you might be in the wrong hobby. But that's cool. I mean, like I said, being a guy who gets from both of y'all, it's just been something different, and it is what I think it's cool either way. But just gives me a little bit more information. I didn't know if there was a preferred line or whatever. I've had good luck with. I've never had anything come in broken from either one of you guys, and so it's awesome stuff.
Rightfully so. Your quality speaks for itself, because I mean, you look at how quick that BG got that whole Slayer T put together, painted, prepped, glued. I mean, it turned out great in such a short notice too. From the point of receiving that as a Christmas promotion, that's really cool. It says a lot about your product. So.
And that's probably our finickiest build too. The rear suspension on that kit is it can try your patience a little bit. So
it really can.
And you can tell, like BG showed us the other night, we got first crack at seeing the done product, and the detail on the parts is remarkable, and you can tell it's a fragile kit to build. You can just tell. But it looks good. Good job, guys.
Is that your? I mean, I know, Chris, that you have files out, because during our conversation way back when, you had the Jeep that was kind of what's the word I'm looking for?
A rat rod.
That rat rod. There you go.
Yeah.
Thank you. You had the rat rod Jeep. So I know you've made complete kits, but Josh, have you retailed a complete kit like that before, or is that the first all-in-one kit that you've done, or at least retail?
The Slayer was actually the first full kit that I have retailed. We actually released it last year in 2023. We did a small batch of them last year as well, but that was the first full kit that we have done. We did our second full kit this year in 2024 of the compressor trailer that was also designed by Chris from Scale Speed Garage. That will be making a return after the first of the year. I'd say probably February or so before we have enough of them. But that was our second full kit, and I can tell you that there's some more full kit kind of stuff coming this year.
Awesome.
That was going to be my next question.
Bigger stuff.
Yep.
There's another good question by Mars. I didn't think of. What would be the hardest file Start with you, Chris. The hardest file you ever had to create, and then we'll follow up with Josh. The hardest file you ever had to print.
I've actually got it pulled up on my screen right now. May I share?
Absolutely.
sure.
Put it up there, and Bruce will put you up on the big screen.
Very cool. So this is something that is coming out here in this next file pack in about a week. Something that we've had a lot of requests for. And it is a wrinkle wall slick. And we love to put the sidewall detail on our tires. This one you can see the sidewall detail even wrinkles with the sidewall there. This was difficult not because of the overall complexity of what it is, but because of the type of modeling it requires. So my entire career in 3D modeling has all been what they call parametric solid modeling, which is really good for geometric stuff like engines and wheels and other things that are more geometric based. It's not so suited for more organic shaped items like this. But I knew that our members really wanted some wrinkle wall tires. And so I set out to learn how to do some forms modeling, or what they call T-spline modeling, to make this happen. I actually made it happen a couple weeks ago when I was hanging out with Josh. We were having a co-working day, and it was kind of a minor triumph that I could finally kind of wrap my brain around this other kind of modeling a little bit.
Yeah.
That is very cool. I heard Chuck. We are big fans of the Scale Model Car podcast, and Chuck was talking about that on the latest episode. And to see it is really, really cool. That's awesome, man.
I'll be ordering.
And I'm seeing some questions here about those. Just some follow-up questions here. TJ's modeling bench. We are also doing these drag slicks in weighted versions.
Nice.
The other side is kind of a mirror image, so the wrinkles are in the correct orientation on the other side as well, and the text is there on the other sidewall as well. And let's see, Slago says make them look higher like rail tires do in burnouts. Let me see what I can do.
So I do have a question on that. Are you gonna? I see that one had the Mickey Thompson ET. Are you gonna do a Hoosier and a Goodyear for the people, or are you just gonna stick with one type of brand?
I'll probably stick with one brand for this file pack. A lot of times what we'll do, not everybody wants a specific brand on their tire, so usually we do an unbranded and a branded version.
Okay.
So we'll do unbranded ones with just plain sidewalls as well. But there is always room down the road for creating other versions of these. And that's another nice thing about this parametric solid modeling is we can go back in and pretty easily make updates to designs as well. We don't have to start all the way back at the starting line on those.
Nice.
What about you, Josh? What's the most difficult, tedious, or whatever word you want to use print that you've had to print?
That's tough to say. I would actually say I would actually say that some of the winter holiday bundle parts that we just released, there was a wreath and a snowman. The wreath had a very, very fine, thin ribbon that came off of the wreath, as well as lots of ornaments and little twigs and sticks sticking off of it. That was extremely difficult to print. I will say my most frustrating print has come within the last several months, and those were some tires that Chris designed that we did for one of our local builders here. He builds nothing but monster trucks, and we did some monster truck tires for him. Anybody that would like those, please go join Scale Speed Garage and download those files so that you can print them yourself. Offering those here. The frustration came simply because you're almost trying to print a tennis ball. In the scale of them and the shape of them, it's basically the size of a tennis ball. So there's a lot of suction in the printing. The tires were very prone to warping and just not coming out perfectly round. I hundreds of hours trying to perfect them.
Yeah. So you're saying you got some junkyard diorama scraps of monster truck tires?
Anybody that would like the junkyard scraps of them, please send me an email. I am more than happy to send them to you.
That's awesome.
So that I no longer have to look at them.
Not to hit a pressure point or anything, but I'm still waiting for that lowrider chassis for the mini trucks to come out. I heard you guys talking about that one a while ago. I'm excited to get that, man. That's gonna be cool. I got a little D50. When I first heard about it, I went to PamsCon and I found a little D50 truck. It's missing some pieces here and there, but when that chassis comes out, I'm going to have a slam mini truck D50. I'm excited to when you guys get that through. I know you and I talked, Josh. You got some tweaks you got to make to it or whatever, and then maybe it'll be out.
Yeah, we're still kind of trying to figure out the best way to offer all of it, and there's just a lot of options and a lot of components that come with it. So we're kind of just trying to figure out the best way to offer it. And I will say that we will be bringing it in 2025, but they will be a limited run. They're not something that is going to be produced on a constant basis and restocked. There will be one run of them, and get them while you can.
Get them while you can. I was fortunate enough to put my eyeballs on a one of those chassis that you had. One of your, I guess you call it a demo or a promo chassis. And Jason from Blue Ox had one, and I'm like, wow, he showed it to me in the typical VCG pizza box, but he held it up to the light, and it was like a light shine down. Angels were singing. I was like, oh, got sunburned. Right light. What you got, Bruce?
One thing, it's a 10-minute alarm, okay?
Oh, yeah.
15 more minutes.
Yep.
And number two, this is for Chris. When those folks join your subscribing thing, do you help them support any printer besides Elegoo?
Yeah, our stuff is all universal. So really the fundamentals are exactly the same, whether you're printing on an Elegoo, a Frozen, an Anycubic, even some of the kind of smaller brands that are out there. The fundamentals are all going to be the same.
Well, I just thought I'd ask that question because I didn't hear it earlier. So,
yep.
Yep.
I saw a question from Red Hill Rod and Custom. There are detailed engine blocks out there. I don't want to take up a ton of time, so if we have a little bit of time left in this call, I will pull up another screen share and show you one that I've got up right now. But we definitely, as I was mentioning, I love to create that internal detail for people that want to have, an engine block sitting on a shelf in a shop diorama or what have you.
Yeah.
Go ahead and pull it up, Chris.
Pull it up now? Okay.
Yeah.
So this is one that just came out about a week and a half ago. And this is, so we're doing all drag racing all month of December. And this is our first generation GM Oldsmobile drag racing competition engine. So a ton of external detail, but to get to your question, Red Hill Rod and Custom, if I turn off the visibility on this oil pan, you see we've got main bearings in here. I'll turn off the visibility on the valve cover. There's the cylinder head.
That is cool.
Actually, I'm going to show you the underside of the cylinder head too.
Put me down for 10.
That is amazing.
I'll take 2.
Show them the inside of that oil pan too, Chris.
Oh, yeah. We can do the oil pan. Oil pan.
Away.
That is really a beautiful piece right there.
It really is. Yeah.
Thank you. Give my computer a second to catch up here. I think it's saying, what are we doing? We're past the end of the workday. So this is a dry sump oil pan with an oil baffle in there.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow, check it
Oh, so
out.
sweet.
That's not
That
just
is
the
nice.
texture on the bottom of the oil pan. That baffle is sitting where the actual baffle would sit. And there's,
The drain plug.
you can see it's hollow underneath it as well.
Yeah.
That is super
There is a piece in there too that I really liked, and that was your water split.
Yep.
Right
Wow.
Oh,
there. Yep, right there.
this
Yep.
guy, yep.
Yep.
So we did all the plumbing for this as well. It's all separate pieces so you can detail it.
Dry stuff looks good.
Thank
All
you.
the AN fittings are separate.
Yeah.
All of the AN fittings are drilled.
Yep. Vacuum
Drilled.
pump. Yep. Nice.
Yep. All the good stuff.
Pump.
And Tim, here are your weighted tires.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, those are nice too. I like those. Yeah.
Seeing that Oldsmobile engine, the only thing I got to say, and if you guys know me, you know what's about to come out of my mouth. AMC made some pretty cool motors back in the day.
But to my knowledge, they haven't done a true DRCE engine.
DRCE. I don't know if I
No.
know what that is. Drag
Drag racing competition engine.
No.
No.
No,
That's
they
because the
probably
AMC
didn't.
guys all gotta go and put Hemis in them.
We know who to align ourselves with, right?
No,
Well, we're
nice
creeping
work.
Up, we're creeping up on our buzzer, so we want to make sure you guys get a chance to do all your shout outs. Josh, do you have some companies you want to mention, people you want to give shout outs to? I know we talked to Dirt Road Cinderella, but you can always give her another one.
Yes, I would love to give a shout out to Dirt Road Cinderella. She is creeping up on her 500 subscribers.
Good for her.
Please go help her out, get to that 500 subscribers. There might be a giveaway with some VCG goodies included in that giveaway coming. So please go support. Please go support her. I'd also like to give a shout out to Frank, Joe Toller, and a new one that maybe some of you guys haven't heard of, Tex Jester. He is fairly new on YouTube. He is a good friend of mine, a retired truck driver that has just recently started a YouTube channel. He has some really good tips and tricks. He's sharing a lot of his builds as well as some great stories from the road of all of his years of trucking. So please go check all of those guys out. And also a huge shout out to Scale Model Outlaw, Bruce's Eclectic World, and KRD Klein Racing Designs, Race Car Designs. I certainly appreciate you guys having us on here. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Thank you.
You're welcome,
Absolutely.
sir. It's an honor is all ours. It really is.
It is.
Yeah, definitely, gentlemen. I would echo that as well. It's been a great opportunity to be on your show and get to interact with some new people out there, see some familiar faces as well. I won't double up on anybody that Josh mentioned. Just know that there are so many of you out there putting out cool content online about model building, and I am here for it. I love it. Keep sending it. I'm going to give a huge shout out to my Scale Speed Garage members that joined us here this evening. It's really you guys that make what we're doing special. Like, yeah, the files are cool, all of it's cool, but to me, the part that I am proudest about and happiest with is the community that we have in Scale Speed Garage. So I'm really grateful for that. Also going to give a shout out to Auto Modeler Magazine. If you guys aren't familiar, I think everybody should be familiar with it now. There is another model car magazine out on the market. I am lucky and honored to be a part of it. And it's just so cool to be, seeing what we're doing and kind of helping the community grow there. So big shout out to Scott Colmer, the editor and sort of the brain behind that operation. And last thing, I did say we were going to just mention our model car show Josh and I are lucky to be part of such a cool model car club here in Colorado in the Rocky Mountain region called Outcast Plastic Modelers. We have our next model car show. Yep, right up there, the banner behind Josh.
Nice.
We are putting together a model car show at the end of March here in Denver. That's March 29th. It's a Saturday, and that is at the Forney Museum of Transportation. So a super cool venue to have a model car show. The model car show is going to take place on the exhibit floor amongst old cars and trucks and motorcycles. And there's even one of 7 remaining Union Pacific big boy locomotives in the building.
Wow.
Our show, we set out to create a show that feels like a party that celebrates the talent and the passion in our community. So if anybody's looking for some spring travel plans, put Denver on your map, come to our show. It's going to be a blast.
That's cool. 2 things. One, talking about Auto Modeler Magazine, the second Thursday in February, we actually are going to have Scott on here as our guest. So we're looking forward to meeting him. That'd be great. Starting with you, Josh, I've seen a lot of questions that I know we're not going to get to in this episode. Do you have an email, or how can they reach out to you for different questions, ideas?
I do. You can reach me at vcgresins@yahoo.com. Send your comments, questions, hate mail, whatever you would like to send there. Go ahead and send it to vcgresins@yahoo.com. You can also find us on Facebook, VCG Resins by Reese. Instagram is just VCG Resins. You can also reach us through a contact form on our website, vcgresins.com. Mars Garage, please send me an email at vcgresins@yahoo.com. We'll talk.
And all hate mail goes to Chuck at Chuck's Hobby Spot.
Right. Send all your hate mail to Chuck at Chuck's Hobby Spot. No, actually, you got to send it to the Scale Model Car Podcast.
Send it to me first so I can add to it, and then I'll forward it.
Okay.
We're just collecting it here, and then we ship it in bulk.
let me wrap this up in a poo-poo bundle and send it on to Chuck. And how do they send that bag of happiness to you, Chris? How do you get that?
I am Scale Speed Garage on everything: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. You can email me directly at chris@scalespeedgarage.com. That's also our website. So pretty easy to find. Josh, I was just going to say, it's ironic your email is vcgresins@yahoo.com because I refer to you as that Yahoo over at VCG Resins.
That's fair. It's an accurate assessment there.
Well, before we sign off, I want to tell both you guys whenever we go off the air, don't hang up, because we can still do behind the scenes things. So
yeah.
Jason, you got anything you want to add before we get out of here?
Yeah, I do. I got a channel shout out. I've been watching this guy. It's Daniel Allen at Model Car Dungeon. He's got a couple hundred subscribers. I'm really digging his builds. He seems like a really great guy, so go over there and check him out. I think you'll be very enjoyable of what he's putting out there for content and builds.
Very good dude. He's another longtime Scale Speed Garage member.
Awesome.
Sweet. Bruce?
I'm sorry, I've been so busy this week. I didn't have anything.
You got any questions?
I do want to give a shout out to Scout Creations. They're doing great work over there, so I check them out every now and then. Oh, there's the 9 o'clock alarm.
And I'd like to give a shout out to everybody that showed up in the chat today, and tip of the hat to Chris's guys that came over from his show. Thank you, guys. Please give us a big old thumbs up. If you watch my channel, you'll see that a lot. But we definitely appreciate you guys coming on. Great show, very informative. You guys are just awesome. You're positive in this community, and you're just exactly what we like to have on here. So again, thank you for taking the time. Sir?
I have one last thing real quick. As a thank you to you guys and to all of your viewers, I have a discount code that starts right now and runs until next Thursday at 5 o'clock. AMC Live. Use that AMC Live code at checkout on VCG Resins, and you will get 10% off of your entire order for the next week.
Awesome.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
Thank
man.
you very
We
much.
appreciate that. Thank you very much.
And we're working on some details for Scale Speed Garage to give you guys a discount to get this. I wanted to pay these guys to send you our way and also give you a discount. And they said, hey, can you just give them a bigger discount instead of paying us? So we're working on those details, guys. But I know they'll announce it when we have something like that up and running too.
Yeah, we
Absolutely.
appreciate that. We're gonna hammer that out. We're talking to Josh as well. So that's we want to give as much as we can back to our viewers. They take time out to come in and watch us and make comments and hang out and have fun with us. And we definitely want to help them any way we can. So thank you again, guys. We appreciate it. You guys are awesome. Again, stay online with us. We'll do some behind the scenes chat. I know Jason's got to go to PRI, so he's getting his truck loaded up. So we'll just go ahead and sign out. You want to go ahead and start with you, Bruce? Who are you and where can they find you?
I am Bruce from Bruce's Eclectic World, and I want to thank each and every one that's here tonight on the panel and in the chat. God bless each and every one of you.
Jason?
I'm Jason from KRD, Klein Race Car Designs, also known as Just in Case.
Just in case.
But no, I want to say thanks to everybody that showed up tonight, and thanks to our two guests, Chris Bell and Josh Reese.
I'm going to echo both what Bruce and Jason said. Thank you, Chad, everybody, for showing up. Somebody just posted best show on YouTube. Wow, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Josh, we appreciate you. This is Mike, the Scale Model Outlaw. Y'all be good, be kind to each other, and we'll see you live next week on the AMC Live.
Peace out,
Bye,
everybody.
y'all.
Bye.